Hi, hello, and welcome to the InShip AP Automation White Label webinar. I'd like to thank you for coming along to today, and I'd like to thank you for your time. We will be running a Q&A through this webinar. You can put a question in the chat box at the bottom, and we will deal with the questions as we go through the webinar. We have an agenda for today. We will be hoping to keep this pretty tight, 15 minutes. We should be out of it. This is the areas that we're going to cover on the webinar today. InShip was developed by Adrian Keelan, who's actually joined us today. It was developed in conjunction with some universities here in Ireland. The system itself was developed not for any specific industry in mind, but rather to cover all of the businesses, the large, small, mom and pop businesses, and to cater for all their needs. So we built a system that's as flexible and as durable as possible. Adrian, would you like to give me an outline of what InShip is all about?
What InShip is all about is really trying to, from a starting block in a way that everybody can handle it, taking the paper out of AP. As you're all aware, the majority of people invoice either by sending an invoice into the post or emailing it out to the company. What InShip is doing is it's actually trying to take away the need to print those, to basically open the post, handle the post, match it, etc., and put that all online. Now, before I go into that, probably this diagram here gives you a very, very simple idea of what goes on. If you have a manual process, the invoice is generated in FAR, it's printed, posted, and post is opened, it's sorted with basically into alphabetical order or however somebody wants to sort in the office. It's matched up against basically different documents. Then it's distributed for different people to approve or one person to approve. The data is entered, the system confirms that that data is correct. And basically the document is physically filed or scanned and electronically filed and then reconciled. So if you go through that, there's about 10 stages. Yes, not all companies go through all of those 10 stages, but I guarantee you they might drop 2, maximum 3 of those. So they're going through somewhere between 7 and 10 stages. If you look at the AP automated process, what happens is the supplier generates the invoice. They email a special email account, either your own and it's forwarded on, or basically an email account within the system. The system extracts the invoice from that, reads it, and basically matches what needs to be matched to it and presents to the user, whoever has to approve that invoice, the invoice at the screen with much more data than you would ever have on an invoice, and with one click they process it and they move it on that way. So you're taking a process that involves loads of physical steps, loads of chances for documents to get lost, mislaid, duplicates requested, etc. And you're removing all that and putting it into a situation where you're actually just using one click. It's about making it simple. But the other thing that's really important here is people have different processes, and InShip basically can flex itself to those processes. From what you said, the mom and pop industries, that all the invoices might go to one person to approve, to multinationals where invoices can be sent all over the world and to approve, or local businesses that are going to multiple branches within local businesses. So it's been able to reflect and actually deliver all of those solutions within the one package.
So very fast, very efficient, very dynamic, and very cost efficient, I imagine. You mentioned the large businesses and even the mom and pop businesses. So is this why you have 3 solutions, Adrian?
Yes, the reason we have basically 3 solutions is because different computer systems have different functionalities and different businesses want to do different things. So what we have is we have 3 simple solutions. The first one is we call tick to post. On this, it's really a one-page solution, and part of the page we outline the invoices that have been received in the system. The middle of the page, we actually display the invoice that someone's reviewing. On the right-hand side, we display basically what information has been extracted from that, and the user just ticks a button, and basically that posts it to the accounts package. The invoice is then stored for the legal amount of time. and the user can search it. So again, if they get their suppliers, even a small business, a small garage somewhere gets their suppliers to email their invoices into here, the owner can go at home and actually do this bookkeeping rather than paying the bookkeeper to do it. APC is really the same thing, but is if the ERP or accounts package has the ability of actually displaying and holding images. What we would do is after the image comes in, we'll push the image into the accounts package with the data that we've read off it and learn from any edits that happen in the accounts package that is pushed back into our system, how to correct it. So if we assume that an invoice comes in from, say, Will Walsh, and we put it to Walsh & Co., and the invoice is pushed back in, but it really should have been put to WW. If the user changes the name to WW, we now know that your invoice goes to WW rather than Walsh & Co. It would have been flagged that they need to confirm that. And the last package we have is Complete Accounts Payable Solution, and this is really the global picture. This is for sort of medium to small business that wants to extract specific data off industries, off invoices, want to have approval, want to basically send the invoice all over the place, want to be able to put an invoice on hold and reject it, etc., giving them a massive amount of functionality, and some of which they'll use, some of which they won't use.
Sure. So I think really what I'm hearing, Adrian, is that irrespective of the size of the organization, we have an automated AP solution for everybody.
Correct.
Which is fantastic. It might be useful, Adrian, for the viewers to maybe let's have a quick look at some of these, a couple of examples maybe of some of these options. Okay, well, I'm going to start off with the tick to post, which is quite a simple option. This is a layout it's a generic one that we have ourselves. The colors, the design, the layout can be bespoken in actually the white label discussion. But what you're looking at here on one side here, you have a list of documents that came into the system, and you'll see here that we've read certain bits of information, but none of which we've identified the supplier. This version, we're looking at basically a VAT number, and once we verified the supplier's name through the VAT number, we'll actually update this here. If we don't have a VAT number, we can do that based on addresses, we can do it based on telephone numbers, we can do it based on URLs, or we can do it based on a combination of them, and we can hint to what particular company this is. But we're actually on this version, there's no hinting, we're just going in here. The first time you set it up, it will actually go from there. So what's going to happen here is the user is actually going to go and actually select the supplier that this invoice is for. Quick basically then Motor Factors is the supplier. They then basically pick the nominal code or the general ledger code of the expense analysis it goes to. They confirm that they've done that right. You review the invoice to make sure, just let me move our nice pictures out of the way. They review the image to make sure that the amount to make sure that the invoice is right. And then you'll see the minute that the first one gets actually processed, on this side here, the supplier actually gets filled in for the relevant invoices that we have here. So it's just doing that. And so the user now is just sitting back, and I can't talk as fast as they're actually processing the invoices. They're looking, everything's okay, process, move on. So you can see it's actually much faster. And if you actually bear in mind, if this was actually done through the fact that the supplier emailed in the invoice, this is the full workload. It's quicker than opening the envelope. Yeah, sure. That's really what it's all about. And yes, if you have documents you need to scan and bring into the system, you can actually do that. So great, fantastic. So the email is obviously the best option. This particular case here, if I'm understanding you correctly, we set up the simple couple of clicks to set up this invoice, and then once that one invoice is set up, all of the other invoices from Stephen Motor Factors are just going to be automatically recognized by the AI in the system. Once it hits the recognition piece that we've basically set it to, and in this case, we've gone for a tax number. In other countries or other areas, we can go. We basically find something that's unique to that, or a combination of things that's unique to that business. So we could have to see the name and the telephone number. We could have to see a URL and something else, or just the URL is fine. Obviously, the more things you do, the
there's a chance that people changes, but you can see how if they change the invoice, it's quite easy to actually reset it.
Yeah.
And the system also has a learning functionality behind it. So if as invoices come in different jurisdictions, we do adjust it for that. But as more and more invoices go in, the system itself actually improves that. And we basically, during the first few months, we monitor that and actually make that better.
Okay.
Just another thing on, just another, I'm going all over the place. Just another thing on Tick to Post. This version here, you can see we've changed the colors. The UI is a little bit different on this version. What we're doing here is we're actually reading in a PO. So we've grabbed the PO number off the invoice, and we've actually then found the PO information from the ERP package, and we're displaying this here. So basically, if everybody's happy with that, you can either save it or save and approve it, or just post it to the accounts package based on how you want to set it up. All these buttons can be there or removed or whatever, and we can talk about how we deal with variances and basically other functionalities within the system. They can be either put in or not put in.
Okay, so a good level of a customization can happen for any ERP or accountancy software package. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
The APC demo, there isn't one.
Okay.
And that's because basically it's the functionality you've just seen is actually pushed into the ERP system. So instead of us having that one-page solution on the web that the users would have to have a link to or basically go into, what we can do is we can push the invoice into your accounts package with the data extracted off it. We push it in a draft format so the user can go in and basically approve it. We suggest that you put in some simple UIs, as in that gives them a chance to go through invoice by invoice. And we also suggest that we also will get, actually, if they do a change, and that example is given there earlier on, we'll Walsh or whatever, if they do a change in the system, we to basically what we've sent in, we get notified of that change, so the system can adjust that supplier or in general learn from it. So
to summarize there, really what you're saying is, dependent on the capabilities of the ERP or accountancy system, InShip can actually put the Tick to Post that we've just seen into the ERP system and have it as a seamless one solution, one area for clients to use.
Yeah, and then basically we learn from the feedback that we get from the system. So it's a two-way communication between the two systems. And again, how that's set up is dependent on how the ERP house wants to do it.
Yeah, sure, got it. Okay.
And the third demo is basically CAPS. I'm going to switch out of this presentation for half a second and just go into basically InShip Online. So this is InShip, and what this would obviously, what would actually happen here is we would set this up. We can do some change to the UI. We can change the color, etc., etc. How InShip works, it's all about getting documents from this side to that side. We have a number of different functionalities, which I'm not going to go into, like we catch duplicate invoices here in alerts or invoices that don't add up. New documents come in, you can set up templates to basically be very precise about the information that you want to grab. But what I'm going to do here is just concentrate on three areas: the approvals, the upload, and the search and reporting. So if I just go into approvals for a second, what I'm looking at is about 100 invoices that are up to me to approve. Now in InShip or in CAPS, what you can have is I'm an admin person. I will see all the admin invoices, plus I will see what's specifically for me to approve. While Will, who might be set up as an employee, only sees his invoices that are for him. So this can be the list that you're looking at is basically your list and only your list. You can sort that list into different ways, just look at nominal codes, POs, ones that match, and you can look at it as a date range if you're coming up to your month end. So you can actually drill down into that list quite quickly to try and actually find things. Now, what I'm going to do here is just quickly show you what happens when you're improving a couple of invoices and what you're actually getting here. The first thing is I'm just opening these two invoices here and just show you this one here. The system has spotted a price watch detected. So what's happened there is we've noticed that the price has changed on some items. So because the fact on this version we're reading it at line level, we can actually store that data and compare that against what was purchased in the past. This is a nominal ledger or general ledger invoice. So it's not something that you have a PO on. You probably don't have any record in your company of what we've actually purchased here, because you're not actually POing it. And so it would actually be quite important to go in and have a quick look at this invoice. It can also tell that someone has looked at it already and put it on hold, but let's go in anyway and have a quick look at that particular invoice. So that's what we've read off the invoice. So this is all the information we've read off. We've captured a set number of fields. We can add to those fields. We've captured a custom routing field, which were basically this business has multiple locations, and the invoices can be stored based on the multiple locations. The invoices can be sent off for approval based on those multiple locations. And so this can all be prejudged, but we can also add, or the user can add whatever fields they want, project codes, etc., etc. If I switch this around, this is actually where the invoice is. So we're actually displaying the invoice here. It's just as quick as anything to switch from one to the other. Again, this is what we've read off it. Because this is a general ledger invoice, we can actually add the general ledger codes. Once we add general ledger codes to a line item, it remembers them from then on. So if you have a supplier that supplies you with, say, IT maintenance, and you'd set up the supplier's IT maintenance provider, but then when he sends you in a new laptop or something like that, you might be putting that in as a capital expenditure. It'll get you the ability actually to set capital, to basically specify that the laptop should go to capital expenditure, and every time basically a laptop arrives in or something like that arrives in, it will go to that separate code. If I double click on a line item, you actually get a quick search result. So if this was a laptop, you would actually be able to go in and actually see what you've actually purchased. You might even get price, whatever on it. So like if you don't know what you're buying, a double click, you actually get there and you see it. You wouldn't do this on every invoice. Be very few invoices you would do it on, but it's very powerful when you want to use it. On the right hand side here, I'm showing the actual summarized coding, which is basically a combination of the fact that this went to the Cork store. So the coding was changed based on that. A number of the line items are going to different areas, so the coding's changed on that. Now, we could have set this up that the Cork store was a cost center, a department code, and in that case, these would go to cleaning Cork, test Cork, discount, whatever Cork. It would go to those particular locations, Cork. You can add comments. These can be predefined or non-predefined. And if we go down here, what we see basically is that the price watch has spotted two prices have gone down, not gone up, because we're watching for both. Because both are just as important. Why was it higher last month? It might be an okay reason, but it could be a very valid question. We can accelerate this if it's over a certain percentage or value. It can actually be sent on to different people, and you'd be surprised the number of MDs that say, yeah, even on purchase order invoices, they want independent notification of any major price increase. If I just click on this, it will actually bring me, to the other invoice that the original price was on. So everything's interacted and linked together quite seamlessly. Sorry, just one other thing here. You can see that this invoice is on a statement. If I switch this statement, you can see basically what we have here. We've read the statement of account from the supplier, date, number, value. We've reconciled that. We're letting you know where all of those invoices are. And most of them are waiting for someone to approve. 2 of them have been uploaded to the accounts package. If any were missing, it will automatically put together an email that you can send off to the supplier looking for missing invoices. But one thing that the philosophy behind InShip actually delivers to you is the lack of need for further reconciliation, because your invoices are coming in here. It's a closed loop system, and they're not getting lost on the premises, because they're always here. You have an immediate log on it. Like I remember sort of one of the early demos we did, we sort of, I've heard it before, where someone sort of says, oh, the receptionist logs every invoice when it comes into the premises to make sure it doesn't get lost. That process was gone very, very quickly. So just have a quick look at PO invoices. There's a load of PO invoices. I'm just going to jump out onto this bunch here. Why I'm doing that is that I can see that these are 3 invoices for the same PO. If I switch around again, obviously there's the invoice. This has actually matched the PO on a total level. So this is the PO we've grabbed from the accounts package or for the ERP. And we're showing in green here, it matches. The line items match on a line by line basis. And I've actually got a link to the rest of the PO that we have within the system, the other GRN. So if I click on that one there, you can see that basically I have access to what we ordered here and what the invoice was, and it actually gives me a copy of the invoice straight off. But if I'm happy with that invoice, that's it. That's the working of InShip. That's the hard thing. That's actually approving an invoice, getting it going. If we went over my approval limit, it would go on to that person to do it. Happy with this invoice, it matches, approve. Next one, approve. So in reality, this is a job to do with a cup of coffee. This is nearly a coffee break job, because of the fact that you're sort of just watching this and moving on. It's a relaxed and easy job. And we do get customers who say they're nearly addicted to it because it's nice, it's satisfactory. It moves on to the next one. This is a problem. This one here pops out. There's no PO found on this. So we basically can type in the PO number to find it, etc., etc. So it's actually a very, very simple, easy to operate process. After some, sorry,
yeah, that can be done remotely also, Adrian, can it?
Yes, like sort of the dreadful environment we're in at the moment is sort of, we all know where we're stuck. We're all stuck working remotely. This can be done anywhere. So you're not looking at transferring a block of papers from one person to another person. It all arrives in a central location, so you can be remote working. Or you could be, back in the days when we're all traveling, the MD or the sales director or basically the branch manager for the region, the Eastern region, could be off traveling somewhere. It's just going to him to approve, and they get used to logging in. We do like sort of when you're actually looking at analytics, we actually get a huge amount of people logging in airports and stuff like that, approving invoices as they're on the road.
For somebody like myself, you know, as you said, on the road or in an airport or something, and an invoice needs approval, is that something that can be done on a mobile?
We have it. We have it mobile. The site is mobile friendly, so you can actually approve invoices on the road quite simply. You obviously slight reduction in the information that you're given due to the landscape size of the phone, but not much. We try to basically ensure that we didn't lose that much information. Okay,
so we've stirred up some interest. We've got a couple of nice juicy questions coming over on the chat forum. Anybody has any Q&As, just drop them into the chat box. Here's a good one, Adrian, and you've just kind of touched on some of it. Are those invoices that have just been approved there, are they automatically pushed over to the ERP system?
That's basically is again a decision that we make between ourselves and the ERP system. What we normally recommend is basically one of 2 options, but there are much more than the 2 I'm going to give you here. One is a nightly upload, so basically all the invoices go and they go nightly, and that normally would have an override that somebody can go in and actually upload them at a particular moment in time. I'm just going to go into the upload section here, or that it just basically is up to the user to decide to push them over. We can push some filters into place. So like we're just into a new month or something like that. What we can actually do is we can sort of say, please don't upload any invoices from the current month because you haven't closed off last month yet. You can do a number of things. We can get invoices can be redated if that's a requirement, and some people do want that if they're getting shipments from far away. They don't want to be getting an invoice that might be 2 months old and the goods are only delivered. Like the goods are delivered 2 months later. They say no, it's based. Our payment terms are based on delivery. We redate the invoice, and we can do stuff with foreign currency, etc., at this stage.
And during that presentation there, you touched on POs and the matching of POs to invoices. How does that PO information get into InShip?
There's 3 basic ways, and I'll go in the order, and it depends. Like we can receive it any of these ways, and it depends on the functionality that's in the ERP. First one's an API, so we can have an API link with the other system. And the second one is basically nightly drop or periodic drop of the outstanding orders to a particular location, and we would actually, a particular secure location, we'd pick it up from that and import it into InShip. Or finally, there's a possibility of doing a CSV upload, a simple CSV upload that the user can use. So, and like the format needs to be in, the file type and all that is all defined by the ERP, the finance house. We work with what they want. We don't impose how we have to push the data or receive the data in. It's basically, it's done by you. We're basically friendly in relation to changes. So then again, we have people that have never done it before and they say, listen, how does somebody else do it? And we copy their process. But normally we let them lead us through it.
That's fantastic. And the flexibility is amazing. You'd be pleased to know we either have somebody financial or an accountant asking a question, which is really good, is how do you deal with variances?
Variances are key. And that's, I presume what they mean by that is variances between a PO and an invoice, or a GRN on an invoice, or goods received in an invoice. What we do there is, again, it's a combination with the ERP house, how they want us to work together. But again, we have a number of options. First one is, and we normally insist on this one, for small variances below a certain amount, we can push it to a variance account within the accounts package, and no one has to change anything to deal with rounding or very small price variances. And then if the variance is a bit higher than that, or even a lot higher than that, and there's two options in play here. In very summary terms, is the user goes into the ERP, changes the PO, updates the PO change, and takes that back into InShip. Or we do provide the facility that within InShip you can actually change the PO and push that, or change the GRN stroke PO values and push that back into the accounts package. It does depend on, again, the capability and how someone feels their customers would want to work. There's some people insistent that there's no way that the PO value should be changed on the invoicing processing side. It needs to be done in our way. And if that's the way that they want to work, we can work that way, or we can work the opposite.
Excellent. Okay, great. It's a hell of a product. It's a big product, a full AP system, this can be branded, named, whatever, as the white label, as a white label ERP.
Yeah. So we do that. Just finally, just to clear off the demo, just a small thing, search, especially when somebody on the ERP house that doesn't actually, or the ERP system doesn't have a document storage piece. We provide a very strong document storage piece here. And what we can do here is we can, you can search by any of those points. Just move this out of the way for a second. You can search by supplier, invoice number, nominal, general ledger number, PO number, any of these, even line items. So if you're looking for that laptop we were talking about a few minutes ago, you couldn't remember who you bought it off, you type in laptop or Dell, it will actually find any invoice that basically you purchased a laptop on. So it can be quite helpful, especially when you forget what you're doing, or you're searching for something that's unusual, but you don't know who your supplier is, or you're struggling to find an invoice that it's on because it might be a big supplier and there's no POs for it.
Sure.
Okay.
Very strong feature, actually. Yeah.
I'm not going to do too much more. There's a lot more features, but I think there would be.
Yeah, we said we keep it tight. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Tight. So if you just go back to the presentation, just 1 second. Okay, there we go.
Okie dokes. Okay, so that's the finish of the presentation in terms of the systems that we have available. Just a quick word on the commercial options. There are two options here. We offer we sell and offer our documents available in a bulk purchase, whereby you're buying them in bulk and then you're passing them back out to your clients on a retail basis. So there is an opportunity here to retain up to 80% of the revenue that this can generate. The other option is with the caps, with the big option with the InShip badge, rebadged. We have a package that incorporates a full sales and marketing and an onboarding service. So that's us taking all of the responsibility for the selling, the marketing, and the onboarding and the training of the clients. And we also have a revenue share model on that. So
the second model is really handy, because if somebody wants to look at some way of boosting their revenue, or an ERP house wants to look at a way of boosting their revenue, but they don't have the resources, they don't have the time to actually market this and actually do some onboarding, we do the whole process for you, and you're just by basis of the fact that it's your name's on it, you're actually getting a major revenue share for doing next to nothing. It's actually such a strong offering.
Sure.
It's incredible.
And you're adding a feature to your system that is hot, and everyone's looking for AP now. Everyone's trying to bring efficiencies into their business. Everybody's trying to deal with the remote working, and all of these other things are coming into play here. So it's a fantastic. Okay, Adrian, thanks a million for that. That was brilliant. Any of our viewers here that are interested or want to have some more information, there's my contact details are there. I would like to thank you all for coming along today. I hope you enjoyed it and can take something away from what you've seen. And thank you very much for your time. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.